Hello, my name's Beth Bruen. I'm a speech and language therapist at Witherslack Group, and today I'll be doing an introduction into ADHD, autism and masking in the classroom. So what is masking? Masking is the constant experience of a neurodiverse person adapting themselves, their behaviour, their communication in a way that they perceive is more socially acceptable. It is not a choice, and it is not the same as how neurotypical people can adapt themselves to different environments, because it's pervasive and it's exhausting. I want to introduce you to Bobby. He is my little Coke bottle, and he is going to represent an autistic person masking in the classroom, or in fact, a person with ADHD masking in the classroom. So within the classroom, Bobby may be the quiet one. He may be the child that constantly has his hand up, seeking for that reassurance. He could be the class clown, exaggerating his responses to be able to fit in. He could be the perfectionist with really big emotions about getting things wrong. He could also be that child that is the model student and doesn't say no. The reason that children do this in the classroom is unique to them. It will depend on their prior expectations and current expectations that are placed on them, their experiences of positive and negative reinforcement of their behaviours and their communication, and also their own sense of self. And so they often do this because they have been bullied. There is stigma associated with their diagnosis, and also victimization, and perhaps it is that strong social desire to fit in. And so what does it look like? Potentially we may see inhibiting parts of themselves, so potentially changing how they express emotion, how they move. So potentially they want to stim but don't do that in that social setting because they've been told it's not appropriate. It could be how they behave, how they communicate. It may also be their responses to sensory input because they've been told it's not an appropriate reaction. So perhaps there is somebody who in the playground has previously been told that they overreacted when they were hit in the head. And so next time they won't react at all. Or they've noticed that their peers don't have that same reaction to the lights in the classroom. And so even though it feels uncomfortable, they're not going to say anything. Perhaps it could also be ways in which they externalise. So they may change what they wear, their makeup, or perhaps they may have that fawn response where they don't say no. They constantly agree and meet others' expectations. And why is it that schools are the places where we commonly see masking? Well, they are busy, they're loud, and have great levels of social demand that kind of conflicts the natural behaviours and communications of an autistic person. So, when they get home, which is their safe space, and they take off the lid of their bottle where there is so much pent-up energy and emotion, what happens? When that lid comes off, parents will see physical outbursts, emotional dysregulation, extreme exhaustion, which is indicative of how difficult it is for that child to constantly have to look at their environments and change themselves depending on where they are. And the issue with this is it often is a barrier to diagnosis as well, because the experience of the parent is so different to the experience of the teacher who sees that masked version as it's being shaken up and can't fathom that that child could be doing that all day long. So how do we help? Empathise with the children, not to sympathise with them. We don't feel sorry for them, but we can meet them halfway. So we need to know that the neurodiverse child isn't the problem, and we can adjust to their environments as well. We can make those accommodations to support them, validate their feelings, their experiences. We can acknowledge that the neurodiverse experience is different to that of a neurotypical person, and make sure we listen when they say and tell us about their experiences and we don't dismiss them. We need to be able to create safe spaces for autistic and ADHD people, know what their sensory sensitivities are and be able to manage them with proactive, most importantly, and also reactive strategies. Lastly, we really need to focus on emotional literacy, naming these emotions for those children, whilst also making sure that we know and acknowledge differences to both attention and learning, so that those child's needs are met in the classroom and there is less of a need to mask. And lastly, if Bobby really loves football, let's incorporate football into learning wherever possible. History, geography, maths, there are endless ways to be able to do it. And also we can make sure that there is time allocated in the day for them to speak about those interests that are so full of passion for them, because there is significant evidence that this is associated with positive well-being in autistic and ADHD individuals.